And again, please tell him that I sent you. Well, I did some graduation parties over the weekend. And I was at one party in particular, and somebody pointed out to me that there was another nasty bit of mail. It was a direct mail piece that dropped about Jeffrey Hare, House District 48. And you hear his ads on KFKA. And I will say this, I said specifically, I'm going to stay out of this. You guys, battle it out. I'm really not trying to endorse candidates one way or the other this time. You guys have your own fights among yourselves, and may the best person prevail. But a couple of people said to me, this is so... the first one was really bad. And it was about... It suggested that Jeff Hare is not a pro-Second Amendment candidate. And he's a Republican and he's got a primary for House District 48. Well, my husband, John Cook, sheriff of Weld County, where he is a firm believer in the Second Amendment, endorsed Jeffrey Hare. And I'm going to say this. Listen, if he didn't think that Jeffrey Hare was solidly behind the Second Amendment, my husband never would have endorsed him. But you can call John on that. I don't need to put words into his mouth. I'm just saying it was over the top. But in this most recent attack, and again, I am doing this because this particular direct mail piece is really almost jumping the shark. It's really ridiculous. And it has Barack Obama's picture with Jeffrey Hare's picture. Obama's kind of Republican. Give me a break. You know what? This is just the kind of stuff that makes Republicans look bad. And frankly, I'm going to say this too. I don't know Jeffrey Hare's opponent. I may have met him once or twice, but he's never reached out to me or anything. Jeffrey Hare has reached out to me. And I also, by the way, knew Jeffrey Hare a little bit before this campaign because he had worked with the Independence Institute on some property rights issues, and he's very much in support of property rights. And in particular, these special districts that can be created and can be a little bit abusive when it comes to taxing powers. So we knew each other a little bit through that. And again, I had said I wasn't going to endorse anybody one way or the other. But I will say this. Again, Jeffrey Hare has worked this campaign certainly more than his opponent, he seems like a very nice man. I don't know him. I think I met him one time, Steve Humphrey. But Jeffrey Hare has been out working this election. He wants this and doesn't have surrogates really out there doing. I'm sure he does. But I will say I've seen Jeffrey Hare much more active than his opponent. The other thing that I thought was kind of interesting, when I went to his opponent's website, and again, I wasn't gonna even say anything about this campaign I wasn't gonna say anything about it at all until I saw this direct mail piece. Because it's really disingenuous and it's really not accurate. But I will say this, it does make me wonder who wrote his campaign website. This is just a little nitpicky, but if we're going to get nitpicky, because that's what this election has gotten to be about. And House District 48 I think it's Glenn Vodd's old seat. Glenn Vodd is running for the Senate. He and Vicky Marble are in a primary. And you have Steve Humphrey and Jeff Hare in a primary battle for District 48. I thought this is kind of interesting. Steve Humphrey is a military veteran veteran, former police officer, and is currently employed as a mental health counselor for the Laramie County Sheriff's Department. Ooh, not a department. It's an office. Yeah. I'm sure he knows that. I just wonder if the person who wrote his website knows that. Because I can't believe he would write that. If he works for the sheriff's office, can't believe he would write that. Anyway, to insinuate that Jeffrey Hare is somehow aligned with Barack Obama is simply flat out not accurate. And it's disappointing. If you want to have debates in public and let the two of them come out and debate, but this is really where you start to lose people. They get disappointed when you will tear down. And I know Jeffrey Hare, he's a good guy. He's not Obama's kind of Republican. Again, I wasn't even going to say anything about this race until I saw this thing. And frankly, this is disappointing to me. This direct mail piece. Jeffrey Hare may be hiding his positions, but the signs are clear, and it shows he's a perfect fit for Boulder and has Boulder city limits. And it's just not even accurate. It just isn't. And Jeffrey Hare is a guy who was, a couple of people told him, you know, listen, we've already selected our candidate. You shouldn't run. And Jeffrey Hare said, no, I want to run. I've got a position. I think I can make a contribution. And I'm not going to, you know what? There's free speech. You do whatever you want. But after I saw this, I decided, you know what? I hope Jeffrey Hare wins. Because this is the kind of stuff that I look at this. See, oh my gosh, seeks common ground with Democrats. No way. I have no idea if that's on Jeffrey Hare's website or not. I haven't gone through the whole thing. But I got to tell you this. You know what? I have sought common ground with Mark Ferrandino on transparency bills. Oh, my gosh. You know why? Because he's on the same side that I am on transparency, and that's a good thing. Jeffrey Hare is not a Boulder liberal. Jeffrey Hare is not aligned with Barack Obama. And this is just crazy. And it says at the bottom, call Jeffrey Hare and tell him Weld County voters demand he apologize for his anti-liberty agenda. Oh, give me a break. And this is by Republicans or people who claim to be conservatives. I am disappointed in this. And you know what? Having seen this, I will now put a Jeffrey Hare sign in my yard because that kind of stuff. This is, and let me tell you, it's not just me, folks. I wouldn't have even known about this because I'm not even in the 48th. But this was people who are, and people who saw this and dislike this really misleading direct mail piece. So while I had planned to stay out, and he and I are on the same side of energy, we're on the same side of economy and spending, jobs and taxes and regulations, right to work, oil and gas, fracking, Second Amendment, 10th Amendment, local power, water storage. The guy, while we're on the same side of all of those things, I probably have Jeffrey Hare and I agree on a whole host of issues. And I dislike that it came out like this. Can they? Absolutely. Would I ever tell them no? Nope. Wouldn't do that. Get it right. It's your free speech. You can do it. I just don't happen to think this is accurate. And as such, I hope Jeffrey Hare wins the primary. I don't know. I hope he wins. I'll put a sign in my yard. Not that he's even in my district. But I will say this. Regardless of who wins the primary, I'll support that person because it's too important. Elections do have consequences, and I want Republicans in control of the state house. And I want Republicans in control at the federal level. And you know what? If they blow it this time, I'm going to change my party affiliation. I will become unaffiliated. But in this case, this is disappointing, and I don't think accurate describing the Jeffrey Hare that I know, and wouldn't have gotten involved until I saw that flyer. If you got it and you have a stance on it, you are welcome to share it with me. But I can tell you this much: that is not the Jeffrey Hare that I know. That is not. He is nowhere near Barack Obama. He's nowhere near a bolder liberal, and it's just not accurate. You're welcome to chime in if you want. 353-1310, 877-353-1310. In the meantime, we're going to take a quick break. Coming back, we'll get to this date in history.